I'm running the risk of having a lot of videos out of sync, so I'm just gonna now come to the video that I filmed 2 days ago. Today's the 20th of November. The video you're about to watch was filmed on the 18th of November, and it's because I'd like things to try and stay in some sort of like logical sync, if there's anything at all logical about my videos. Good morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time you happen to be watching this. Good. Now, I have had a very strange day of a mix of work and a little bit of pleasure. Work won't bore you with, but anyone who watches this also works with health or within the NHS. Just you have my deepest respect. I'm supposed to be retired from all that crap. Anyone who's still dependent on their wage from dealing with. Anyway, I'm not going to go into that. That's irrelevant. I have been doing today more of the piping of the stuffy poos. And we have the larger kegs coming tomorrow, the 100-litre kegs coming tomorrow. The idea, if you haven't really caught up on all this nonsense, is to be offering kind of like brew day experiences as a paid kind of activity. You know, people go bungee jumping, parachute jump, all that sort of stuff. So offer a brew day where people can come brew their own beer, and that will then pay for me to do the same thing with patients. So, oh, hang on, doesn't need to be on. So it will provide me the opportunity to take a day out, get some patients, pay for patient transport, get all the gear, and so one will pay for the other. That's the idea. This will be the kit mainly that I'll use for that, which will just do kind of like standard corny keg brews, so 19 odd litres or bottle. As most people know, my patients sometimes won't really be around long enough for a beer that takes a lot of maturation, so we'll probably be doing kind of a lot of bottling that they can take away and drink at their leisure. Anyway, that's the idea. For me, however, I'm kind of interested in starting with some different types of styles. I know everyone kind of is into things like the New England IPAs at the moment. I like Neepers. I'm about to keg the Burnies. For those who wanted to know, by the way, I don't know if I showed you the wadge of dry hops that were sat on the top. Dry hopping, taking it right down. So it's going to be a complete dry, oxygen-free transfer. From the moment it went into the fermenter, there's been no oxygen near that, and there'll be no oxygen anywhere near it until it goes in the glass. Anyway, so that's, yeah, so a lot of people like the New England IPAs. I want to try doing some lambics, some traditional Belgian lambics. And I mentioned this on a group somewhere, and someone said, "Oh, you won't be able to. You need one of them big metal baths." They didn't even know what they were talking about, but they were right. And I said, "Well, yeah, okay." So they said, "Well, you won't be able to do it then." I said, "Why?" I said, "Because you ain't got a big metal bath." And so, yeah, just telling me that I didn't was just like one thing. Instead of asking me, "Have you got?" They're called a Koelschip. Now, you can say Koelschip, Koolship, if you want, or you can spell it properly, which is Koelschip. Koelschip. Basically, it means a big metal cooling bath. People use them for various different things, dry hopping, or with the lambics, you will take them usually into the top room of the building. It's a big open bath. You'll pour your hot water in there, let it dry overnight. All the natural yeasts and cultures start spontaneous fermentation, and you then cask it, wait 3 years and see what you get, technically. Or you can take your Koelschip and your brewery out into the forest, let all the natural yeasts fall off the trees, and then in the morning you filter it, basically to keep the flies out. Boom. So I was chatting to a mate of mine who runs one of Sheffield's oldest kind of like and most respected manufacturing businesses. They do an awful lot of R&D. They do an awful lot of like really top high-end creations, both in the manufacturing industry and also in the creative industry. They sell lampshades for £5,000 to oil sheiks and stuff. Anyway, I was talking about this, and he said, what are the primary characteristics that you're after? I said, well, a proper Koelschip will be made out of copper, 2mm copper, because it's got the best thermal properties. Most that are made these days, not many are made these days, most that are made these days are made of stainless steel. He said, well, why don't we make one out of copper? So, for this kit, it does about 20 litres, we built a little Koelschip. Now this is literally as it's come through manufacture. It's all folded on this. This is just a sheet of 2mm copper that he had in his warehouse, and then the ends cut and then soldered with a proper food grade proper copper solder. So we've got a little copper Koelschip. Need to clean it up, obviously give it a bit of a polish, but that is there perfect now for about a 25 litre brew. It'll hold 50 litres. Obviously you don't want to fill it with 50 litres because it would overflow and whatever. So half full, that'll hold 25 litres. The other thing today is I've been trying to source a new mash tun, and the ones that I was looking at on the Malt Miller, 450 quid. I thought I can't really afford it, but they're good. SS Brewtech, they're gold standard. Had a look today, price has gone up by 100 quid, 550. Just no way. On principle I won't pay that. So there's two others that I'm looking at. Somewhere around the top of the list at the moment is the Power one, but anyway, that'll be another video in its own right, because tomorrow, as I said, I've got the 100 litre kegs coming, which I'll then, like this, cut the top off, cut some holes in, boom, boom, boom. A friend's offered, although better clarify that he's still up for it, to weld me some tri-clamp fittings in the back for the elements. That'll be 100 litres. And this is the Koelschip for that. And I've just started polishing this up. Again, 2mm copper, it's bloody heavy. Folded and then soldered with food safe solder. All right, Delilah, darling. So we now have two Koelships. How about that? Solid as a rock. Again, this will be, I'll use this one mainly, I guess, for the 100 litre, although you could probably get just sort of like a tiny little level, 25 litres in the bottom there. That would cool almost instantly. But I'm going to be playing with those. And again, I think, that offering that as a brew day, probably at something like a country fair or something, where we can cask probably 3 or 4 like 20 litre casks, that people could then take away and stick in their cellar for 3 years and see how it goes. And I like the idea of all the spontaneous fermentation. It kind of like fits in with my psyche, really. So that's kind of like my day, how my day's been. I've ordered some more freeway taps, a few more pipes. I'm pretty much ready to run, pretty much ready to roll. I'm going to clean this one up tonight, finish polishing that one up so it will look pretty much like the still, although the still has got a beautiful little aged patina going on it now. I kind of love that sort of the way that all turns out, and so these will achieve that kind of feel. This is now kind of taken back to the bare copper. I'll give it a nice sheen, nice proper nice polish, and this one, and then make a nice little stand for them. And all of this is portable, so all of this could be taken out to a country house or something somewhere. It doesn't have to be a country house, could be a council estate, you know, wherever. I'm proud, I'll brew anywhere, anywhere where people like beer and appreciate it. But as long as we've got 32 amp power source, which is one of them, which is what all this is powered off a 32. I don't know, you know, people will probably challenge this, but I've got 316s. Okay, 216s is 32, but you're not really running them all at the same time, and anyway that will handle 316s. So 32 will actually handle 316s. I worked in the music industry a number of years ago. You should have seen what we hung off 32s at the time. So that's where we're at the moment. This is all portable, so we could take this out anywhere and then do an overnight spontaneous fermentation. Isn't that a wicked idea? Phew, you don't half whittle on, Bailey. That's where we're at today. We have our Koelschips. Whoa. You've got to wait 3 years, see what they're like. But Boathouse Lambics. Ooh, bring it on. Back to Friday the 20th. As I think I finished that video by saying, we've got a couple of Koelschips. Oh, and as you can see, the 100 litre Sankeys have arrived. They're big. Oh, they're big and they're beautiful. I'll come back and I'll just give you a sort of little comparison as to how big they are compared to normal size Sankeys. Not surprisingly, they're twice the size. Shut up, you idiot. Right, anyway, started cleaning all these up. That was 2 days ago, but do you know what? God. I just seem to have been remarkably busy. I'm supposed to be putting my feet up and all that sort of stuff. But anyway, so this will be the sort of like 20-25 litre little Koelschip, just for the small brews. That'll be for the 100 litre brews. It's starting to clean up really nicely. And then the inside, I'm going to give both of them a really high polish on the inside. Copper's antimicrobial anyway, but so these are our Koelschips, and I think I mentioned made by mate of mine, Mark, who runs this historic manufacturing company. But they do all sorts. They do like posh lampshades. They do teapots for Buckingham Palace, oil shakes, all that sort of cruise liners. They make all sorts of like posh silvery stuff. Oh, just, and all sorts of other highly technical stuff. So real hands-on, all handmade, hands-on handmade stuff. So that's where we're at. By the way, not all 4 of these kegs are for me. I got a couple from mate who was in search of a couple. So, but this will be my HLT. That will be my copper boiler for the larger kit. And I've still not quite decided on which mash tun I'm going to get. Sadly, neither BREW, wherever it was. Oh God, BREW Tools. I can't. Sorry, my head's just. I need a drink. Or Powell got back to me, but it's strange times. People, you know, they might not be working full time, or you know, they might be really busy or whatever. So I'll try and follow it up early next week. But the developments of all this are coming together for this sort of like really weird, strange idea. By the way, there is another one of those being made, a bigger one. That's another story altogether. That you have to wait for that one. And the again, the purpose of this is to provide me with the ability to continue offering something meaningful in terms of support for the patients I work with. For those who don't know, most of the patients I work with are either they have a terminal illness or they have a form of mental illness, usually acute depression, anxiety, generalized anxiety disorder, clinical depression, or you know, as I'm tending to call them, normal people who just sometimes need not to have a fucking bullshit, or not to be just have drugs thrown at them. They just need, sometimes they just need to talk. And at the moment with COVID, fuck me, what, you know, it says there's not a worse time to be depressed. In fact, the figures that we're seeing are just, well, anyway, I'm not going to go into all that. That's the rationale for doing all this. And so all of those people who have one way or another supported this, you know who you are, and I'm very grateful and thank you. So this is the next evolution. The evolutionary stage is the larger brewery and the Koelships to make some lambics and some sours and some spontaneously fermented out in the woods type stuff. So I hope you find that interesting. Again, if you're new to this channel, it's a bit weird, believe me. It really is. There's all sorts of things go on this channel. Burn woods and break things, boats, brew, swear quite a lot actually sometimes as well. But if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. Be lovely to have you. Get your mum to subscribe, all your kids. Right, I was going to say the guys down the pub. When we're back at the pub, maybe. But the more the merrier. Come all, come one, come all. That's all. Just, yeah, right. We're filling on. I need to get a drink. It's Friday the 20th. Thanks ever so much for watching, and I hope you enjoy the future developments of this weird old thing, what I seem to have got myself into. Right. Oh, I need something for the thumbnail, don't I? That's not the best, though, is it? It's not the... Don't know. Does that look all right? Well, we'll have something like that for the thumbnail. Cheers, boys and girls. Stay safe.